My name's Phillips. I run the website Shared Ownership Resources and I'm a member of SHAC. Shared ownership is a scheme where people buy a share in a property, maybe 25%, 50%, up to 75%, and they pay rent on the share still held by the landlord. Now, in terms of the annual rent review, the situation is slightly different for shared owners than it is for social rent tenants. For social rent tenants, the annual rent review is undertaken using CPI, and for shared owners, rent is reviewed using the retail price index, RPI. Now, something that's important to understand here is that RPI tends to be higher than CPI. The other thing to understand is that RPI tends to go up each and every year. I think the last time it didn't go up was 2009, and the last time before that was 1960. So basically, shared owners' rent goes up every single year. Homes England's model lease for shared ownership has a set formula for calculating annual rent increases. The formula is RPI, and in the current version of the lease, RPI plus 0.5%. In some older versions of the lease, it's RPI plus 2%. The model lease also includes an upwards-only clause, which means that shared ownership rent goes up every year. It never goes down, even if inflation goes down. Something else to understand is that RPI is a discredited measure. The Office for National Statistics say that that they discourage its use. So it's hard to understand why the shared ownership annual rent review is using RPI. Some people might look at shared owners and think if they've been able to afford to buy a property, why would they have any problems with affordability? Now, the issue here is that shared ownership is designed for people who can't afford to buy on the open market. So straight away there are eligibility criteria. At the upper end, those criteria are quite high, and some people are on high salaries, but a lot of people are at the lower end on lower salaries. Now, the issue here is that, say if somebody could only afford a 25% share, then they're exposed to above inflation rent increases on the 75% share still held by the landlord. When shared owners buy their first share, they're required to buy the maximum share that they can afford. Now, interestingly, the Joseph Rowntree Foundation just tweeted recently about some ad hoc analysis they'd carried out, which suggested that in 2019 to 2020, around a fifth of shared owners were defined as in poverty, which raises some interesting questions. One assumes that people weren't in poverty when they entered the scheme, otherwise why would they be encouraged to buy a share at all? It also raises a question about how many shared owners will find themselves in poverty as a result of the massive hike in RPI we're seeing at the moment. Something that a lot of people may not realise about shared ownership is that you're liable for 100% of the repair and maintenance charges, regardless of the size of your equity share. So if somebody had purchased 75% as their share, they would be liable for 100% of repairs and maintenance costs. If they'd only purchased 25%, they would still be liable for 100% of the repair and maintenance costs. Shared owners and social rental tenants face different problems in some respects. They have different rent formulas, but in other respects they share the same problems. Both groups are facing unaffordable inflation-linked rent increases. It's really important that people stand together to campaign for affordable rent increases. There are two ways that people can support each other and act collectively. One way is to actually take part in a rent strike. Some people may feel that's risky for their own situation, and this may be the case for some shared owners. In that case, it's important that people sign the pledge in support of a rent strike.